He's gonna go.
Okay, I have a question, but I'm afraid to ask it of Victor. As long as I've known him and he's known me, Victor says I have this propensity of coming up with questions that I have no business asking. I think this is one of them. It's a case of would you rather? Would you
Uh-oh.
rather take the 42-10 loss last year or 30-24 this year?
30-24.
Because
Because at least it seemed like it was more competitive than because a 42-10 beatdown, especially when it was over by halftime. And you and I saw that game.
yes, we did.
You know that team was defeated. At least in this go round, it said the team was a bit more engaged. They still wanted it.
But I have to ask this question. You being a Cowboys aficionado, why do the Cowboys take so long to turn it on?
That's the $1 million question everyone's asking.
I got a better question. Where the hell was your run game yesterday?
Non-existent.
Where is the run
Trying to-
game been
It's
since
called
week
trying to
one?
give it to Zeke, even though he's too old for this.
You know what?
The thing is
thank you for saying, Droid. Thank you for saying that because I can tell you what Zeke is feeling right now. No, change that. I can tell you what Mike Fat McCarthy is feeling right now, and the rest of the Cowboys after what happened last night.
I'm getting too old for this.
Yeah, pretty much.
you still have Pennywise at the helm. You're gonna be basically saddled with a loss at that point.
I
This-
mean,
But
Could-
they were in the
but
game.
I
They
still-
led at halftime.
They led at
I
halftime.
still hope.
they led at halftime. They led at
After
halftime.
years of listening to Cowboys fans, not Victor.
I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Cowboys Nation talk about but even though we haven't won a Super Bowl, we at least make the playoffs every year. Oh, if they
Mhm.
don't make the playoffs, I'm laughing in their face the same way Marshawn Lynch laughed in Pete Carroll's face after that interception.
Well, that's the big problem, and this is the problem I've had with the Moronic Republic for quite some time,
Mhm.
is that they always take these small victories of, oh, we made it to the playoff. We're gonna make it to the playoffs this year. What difference does it make if you get bounced in the first round?
Especially given
By
the
the
way that the Cowboys lost against the Packers
They
in
lost-
their home stadium.
Yes, you lost
This
against
past
the
January.
Packers. You lost against the Packers in embarrassing fashion.
Mm.
Yet you beat Tom Brady, an aged Tom Brady and the Bucks the year prior. Great. But then you come with a foolish play and get destroyed by the 49ers.
Again and again and again.
Exactly. I mean,
And
when I saw it was 10-6, I was like, okay, well, they're making a game out of it.
And then
the
San
third-
Francisco said,
Honestly-
"Screw you."
Well,
Honestly, I thought Jaden Daniels was going to take a bit to, develop before he got this good.
yeah.
And I thought the Commanders were still going to be a bottom tier.
what the
for a while,
Cowboys
still-
would do. No, I take back the thought that I just had.
I don't
So I-
know if I would
No.
settle.
I take back. I don't
well,
want to tease.
Rounders.
I take back the thought I just had with Jaden Daniels being in a Cowboy uniform. It wouldn't have worked.
No,
Yeah,
no,
No.
It wouldn't work.
no.
Now, here's the question.
Flag on the play, unsportsmanlike.
Hey, ref, hey, ref, do me a favor. Shut up a second. You're not getting paid enough for this.
Wow.
My question I've got after yesterday's game is was this San Francisco's get right game?
Yes,
Yeah.
two reasons.
Give
One,
it to me.
we're headed in the we are on a bye next week,
Mhm.
so we're going to get a lot of missing parts back. And two, we were not supposed to win that game. ... At all,
No.
because
Well, with the injuries,
Dallas was kicking our tail.
Yeah,
All right.
Dallas was doing ball control. I mean, granted,
Yep.
it was only 10-6 at the half, but Dallas was full-blown ball control.
Yeah.
But here's the point where I think the game turned for San Francisco when they held Dallas out of the end zone and forced them to settle for a field goal. So instead of it being 14-3 it was 10-3.
Well,
Yeah.
also take
By that time, Frisco had not even seen the red zone. I mean,
Well,
their 2 field goals came from distance.
Yeah.
also take consideration that the boogeyman showed up and showed out. And
The animal
yes, the boogeyman for the Cowboys
is George Kittle.
has and probably will always be George the Animal Kittle.
6 receptions, 128 yards, plus a touchdown. And that touchdown in the third quarter turned it on for San Francisco.
Yeah,
Yep.
because after that it was just unlocked.
It was over after that.
Yeah.
But if you're the Cowboys, does it hurt more having a chance to come all the way back and win that game from 27-10 down, and yet with Pennywise being in control of the offense, and Victor, you've mentioned this so many times over, 4 consecutive pass plays on the right side of the 2-minute warning?
Well, that's the problem, is that once again, the run game is nowhere to be found. And we had thought, stupidly, that with the offensive line help that we got.
Don't make me spit out my coffee in doing that, okay?
Well, we thought that the offensive line help we had gotten in the draft, we had gotten
one of them.
We had gotten some help in the run game. I don't know. And of course, people again stupidly thought that Zeke was going to do something.
I didn't.
And they thought, okay, we'll be able to make it more even and run the ball more. But
you guys got obliterated in the run game.
Well, of course, Pennywise had to go back to the Dak attack again.
How many times did Dak throw the ball last night?
38 times.
38 times.
25 for 30. 25 for 38. 243. 2 and 2.
How many interceptions?
2.
How many sacks?
Give me a second to find that out because
5. I think 5.
Sacks allowed.
Got sacked 5 times.
No, sacks allowed was only 2.
Oh, they only got 2. Oh, well, they beat the hell out of him though.
Yeah, they got
a lot of them hurt.
They beat the daylight out of Dak Prescott.
You on the moronic Republican Cowboys Nation think you got any help on the O-line in the draft, you are STUPID. Stupid.
If you think I got a better button to push, goes like this: if you are a member of the moronic Republic of Cowboy Nation and you thought you got some offensive line help for the past 2 years, because Victor, when we did our first round coverage of the draft 2 years ago, Victor was begging, you understand me? Begging the Cowboys to get some offensive line help. Well, I have a 3-word response.
Stop the cap.
If you thought it happened then.
Well, also
the
consideration
only
again.
good offensive lineman you pulled in the draft was Cooper Beebe from Kansas State.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, here's the biggest problem I got with this game. Dallas had 5 people rushing the football, including Dak.
Yep.
They only had a combined 56 yards. 5 people rushed the football.
You had no right putting that on the screen.
Here's the thing. Yes, I did. I'm in charge of the buttons, doggone it. At least this morning I am. Listen, here's the thing about that number that you just mentioned. 56 combined rushing yards from the Cowboys as a committee.
Yep.
You know how many rushing yards Brock Purdy had last night?
58.
Yep.
56. I think
56.
Well, again, look
56, at the 56 rushing yards. Listen, let's take a look at this. And Pizzle, no, I am not in Chicago this week. Matter of fact, my honey's in St. Louis until Wednesday. Take a look at these numbers right here. The 49ers only had one more first down than the Cowboys, 19-18. Niners held the ball 33 minutes, 12 seconds. Cowboys 26-48. So a little bit more even in the time of possession. The Cowboys had 292 offensive yards last night. They allowed 469 to San Francisco.
Well, again, look at the offensive lines.
And you also want to know the biggest thing? Dallas was 4 for 12 on third down, 1 for 2 on fourth, whereas San Fran was 8 of 16 on third down.
You don't allow a team, if you're supposed to be all of that and then some, like many Moronic Republic members proclaim, and Victor said this exact sentence to me, you don't allow a team 16 third down attempts.
No,
you don't.
Let me say that again. 16 third down attempts. And remember, this is a team in San Francisco that is so beat up, they're down to their rookie running back who runs a 4-3 out of Louisville, and Isaac Garendo. And if I'm reading this correctly, and Dog, I'll have you help me on this, 14 carries, 85 yards, plus a touchdown.
Yep.
Now, if Purdy gets 56, Garendo gets 85, and your team as a committee only gets 56 yards, which is matched by a quarterback, and Purdy has now run more out of necessity than luxury this year because the Niners are so beat up.
Mm.
What does that say about your team when you, and I said this exact sentence, when you signed a retread running back in Ezekiel Elliott, you let Tony Pollard walk to Tennessee.
Right.
And Tony Pollard was your best option at running back. Now what do?
You've got no help because your offensive line is complete, trash.
Well, like I said, the offensive line has nothing. You don't have a coach that has really good running schemes.
No, he really
Right.
doesn't. I mean, Pennywise has never had good running schemes.
I mean, for God's sakes, does the latter years in Green Bay prove anything? I'm looking at a Redskins highlight. That's why I said Washington.
I mean, let's break this down. Zeke only had 34 yards. They had Alvin Cook that ran the ball 6 times for 12. They had Turpin run the ball once for 11 yards.
Yep.
Lupke didn't even get any yardage, and Dak went back a yard.
What does that tell you about?
There's your rushing committee.
Yep. Yeah. What is that? You just took the thought out of my head. What does that tell you about your rushing attack or lack thereof?
That they have
lack thereof.
That's the key word.
I mean,
lack thereof. I mean, and the thing is that unfortunately, the ones who take the beating the most are the fan base, because it's like I said before, there are two things that every NFL fan wants: is their team to win and the Cowboys to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just a monumental hatred for Cowboys fans. And there always has been. And there probably always will be.
Let's look at it this way. This is how biased the offense is in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
He had 13 receptions for $146
Mhm.
and both of Dak's touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Once he got shut down, it was done for Dallas.
It was Dunskies.
Yeah,
as Victor often says. It was Dunskies.
Because we've basically relegated to now it's Dak or nothing. And that's really where the Cowboys are at.
And that's not the Cowboy offense. And that's not the Cowboy offense. And I'll even take this back to the 80s with Danny White and Drew Pearson and Butch Johnson,
right?
And Doug Cosby, Tony Dorsett. That's not the Cowboy offense I remember. And of course, you always had the 90s team, and I'll always pay homage to them.
Yeah,
Big Emmett,
Emmett, Troy Aikman, you got prime time on the defense side. You had a squad back then, and I just don't understand. Well, I kind of do understand it because it's Jarrell. This is Jarrell having this compulsive need to be right.
And here's the thing that hurts Dallas. Dallas is now 2 games behind the Redskins.
Yep.
2 full games.
And we have yet to face them.
You have yet to face the Redskins, and they're pretty beat up, but they're going to get healthy. And we'll talk about the Redskins in our next segment. You still got to see the Eagles.
Yep.
And in a crazy sort of way, you still have to see the Giants.
We still have to see the Giants, who we escaped with a win last time. So Lord
You
knows
sure
what's gonna
did, because
happen
the
next
Giants
time.
had the ball with a chance to win.
Right. So we'll see what happens the next go around. We haven't seen the Eagles yet. We haven't seen the Redskins yet, and the Redskins look like an absolute dynamo.
And you got to see both the Redskins and the Eagles twice.
Yep.
And
You've
I'm
got
looking.
to see
I'm
both
looking
teams
at the schedule.
twice.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. They got the Eagles at home on the 10th. They're on the road for the Commanders on the 24th. Then they're back home for the Giants to end November. And then to end the season, they're on the road to Philly and at home for Washington.
Yep.
This division chase for Dallas is over.
So you're talking about basically being swept by every team except the Giants, because we probably will split that.
You'll split with the Giants.
And let's not forget the out of conference games. And there's two of them that have me worried for you guys. November 18th, the 8:15 game is Houston in your house.
Right. We still have Houston to get the Strouds.
That's a blowout.
And then you've got a December 22nd game at home against Tampa.
And something Droid brought to my attention. You know who the Cowboys play next week? Atlanta.
That you're done.
Yeah. Because
if the Cowboys lose that game, and is it in Texas or is it in Georgia?
I do believe.
I think it's in Georgia.
I do believe you are correct. I do believe so. Let's take a look here.
I think it's in Georgia.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
I'm looking at it right now. It's the 1 p.m. game.
So you're talking about basically another blood march, because
that's
right now,
going to be sickening. And that's my first game on Sunday, considering the fact that the 49ers are off.
Yep.
Detroit will beat up Green Bay at 4:25. And then my Colts play the Vikings.
Right.
Yeah, because that game got flexed.
That's the first flex game that wasn't it?
Yes.
That was the first flex game.
Yes.
And then
because it was supposed to be some BS Jacksonville game, but they flipped
Philadelphia. It was supposed to be Jacksonville, Philadelphia.
Yeah, but then they flipped it
to 4:05.
Yep.
And now you get
because Jacksonville's playing like absolute garbage most of the time.
Yep.
Right.
Now my thing is, and this is the huge what if. What if Dallas was going into the Atlanta game at 4-3 instead of 3-4?
Then they'd have some confidence.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They'd have a lot of confidence.
Here's the thing: if the Cowboys messed around and actually beat San Fran last night, you probably would have had a much more confident Cowboys team, because they would have beaten the boogeyman at least once.
They would have beaten the bully.
Yep, they would have beaten the bully at least once.
They would have beaten the bully.
But now,
I'll never forget what you guys say a lot. The bully doesn't like to get bullied. You know, Chris Simpson says the same thing. The bully does not like to get bullied. And last night, the Cowboys were doing the bullying for about 20 minutes.
Yep.
Now I'm going to bring up a very interesting stat here, because I'm going down the lineup of the wins and losses for Dallas. Outside of the first game against Cleveland, where Dallas dropped 33, they haven't cracked 28.
No, because you look at the teams that they went up against. We didn't expect the South to be as good as they are. And here come the New Orleans.
I mean, you guys almost beat Baltimore.
Yeah.
That should have been a W for you guys, the way Baltimore was playing, but somehow they squeezed that one out. You got your asses handed to you by both New Orleans and Detroit. That was going to be figured.
Right. Especially Detroit.
And this is the troll period that Victor was afraid of. This is the troll. This is the 3-week troll period that Victor was afraid of when we did our preseason special.
Exactly. But here's the thing: they should have beaten New York by more instead of 5 points.
Yep.
They dropped. That was a drop game.
But when you turn the ball over 4 times,
exactly,
and
you
then,
allow a team like the Giants to stay in the ball game.
And then you should have beaten Pittsburgh by more.
Yeah,
but you only scored 20 points.
That should not have been a miraculous win.
Right.
Yeah,
for
but
Dallas.
in both of those games, you only scored 20 points.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and again, in those games, and this is what's going to end up happening with Moronic probably, is they're just going to take a win as a win. They're not going to look at it as a thrashing, this should have been a thrashing. Pittsburgh should have been a thrashing because you had Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that they're missing the key players in that defense.
Yeah.
That defense has nowhere near the teeth that it had.
Nope.
No,
last year.
you should have been able to blow them over the secondary, but you